Hi, good morning, everybody. So I am not sure that if the internet connection is working really well. Um, so please let me know if you hear me okay, if you see me okay. So let me know if you can hear me okay, see me okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I hope this Facebook Live will go through smoothly. And welcome to TWR Facebook Live. Greetings to everybody from India. So today's topic, it's finding the voice of freedom when speaking on behalf of social justice. Connect first with awareness of silence. So this is the title for today's Facebook Live. And I just wanted to, sorry, there's some kids. Some kids are having fun outside in the park. So this is the title that I thought it's appropriate title because today's world in many countries there's a lot of unsettling social issues, and also people are trying to find their own voice to help the society. And so I think it would be a very, very good thing to discuss about it from the point of view of the practice. And I wanted to say what I mean by a point of view of the practice is because as a practitioner of any kind, any spiritual tradition, we all, in the end, our spiritual practice that we feel, that we believe, that we trust, that we're trying to apply in our everyday life is because we want it to benefit individually and collectively and some social impacts. And that's the reason why we are trying to practice our spiritual practice. And that makes completely sense because somehow our spiritual practice has to be connected deeply in our own personal life, and our own personal life when we are facing challenges in the situations, in the social situations. We need to able to find some way of integrating our spiritual practice, our view, our meditation, our conduct. We need to find some way of integrating these three principles in the situations. So I think there are many people as a practitioner, I think we all find ourselves in that situation. We sometimes lose the connection to our practices, and sometimes we also not really able to impact what we meant to find some solutions or some change some situations in the society. We don't find that, neither we find some sense of one's own spiritual development. It kind of disconnects both places. So this is the reason why I thought it's about integration of social issues, and also it's about one's own deep belief, spiritual practice, how they are connected and they play interconnected roles there. So this is the topic that I wanted to talk. What I'm trying to say here is not about that we should not come forward, that we should not find our voice and fight. It's not about that. This is about we should find first our ground, what we say in the doctrine teaching, we say base, or we sometimes refer as a source. We need to find some sense of connection to ourselves. We need to find some sense of confidence in ourselves. We need to find some clarity from that source, from that place. We need to find some sense of deep sense of peace and a warmth in that place. And from there, then we need to find our own voice of freedom. A voice of freedom, the voice which has maximum amount of openness, the voice which has a maximum amount of clarity, the voice which has maximum amount of strength, sense of power, but voice which also have a sense where there is a warmth and kindness, understanding of greater collective purpose of society rather than divided social issues, rather than individual benefits or divided social issues like political parties or two sides of the opinions. So, of course, all situation has different opinions about it, and everybody believes in their aspect of the truth, which is fine. But I think in some sense, whenever people speak out, they lose that the connection to themselves, they lose the connection to that ground, they lose that connection to that base, they lose the connection to that clarity, and because they lose all those connections, then they feel anger, frustration, they feel fear, they feel doubt, and basically in the Dharma, in the teaching, from spiritual point of view, we say 3 root poisons. For example, if you are trying to, or anybody is trying to, on behalf of social justice, if anybody trying to raise your voice and trying to fight for something, first of all, we wanted to make sure that if I have lost, have I lost the connection to myself? Am I deeply rooted in ignorance? And am I full of doubts? Am I feeling like a frustration, anger, hate? Am I feeling it is because of the greediness and attachment? So if it is from ignorance and doubt, if it is from frustration and anger and hate, if it is from greediness and attachment, if my voice, what I'm trying to say on behalf of social justice, if it's coming from these places, so-called 3 root poisons, and which is only manifesting 3 root poison because of I have lost the connection to myself. If it's coming from that place, then it's not, I don't see really it's going to help so much, because it really lost its connection. It's full of doubt and hate, frustration and fear, attachment, anger. All these negative emotion is fully charged with these negative emotions, and the voice coming out of that is, I don't think it's going to benefit so much, not at all. Impact will not be there. What we meant to, what we hope for, it won't be there. So I think as a practitioner's point of view, you also, once again, you lost your sense of your practice, integration or practice in the name of social justice. And you also or quite clearly know you will not probably find a positive outcome. Either it's your individual outcome, some benefits, or it's a collective benefit of the community, or it's a larger sense of social, collective social benefit, the impact that you are seeking for. Probably very likely any of these going to come, because it's just, you can see this voice has lost. And there might be some time for temporary victory in these voices, but in the end, it's going to bring more harm than benefit. So I think it's very important. First of all, I think it's very important not to get confused with the good intention with the bad emotions. Good intention with the bad negative emotions mixing up and not able to have the impact. So I think that's very important. So again, once again, from the point of view of, I'm only speaking this as it's not a only social or political thing, but it has something to do with, as a practitioner, it has something to do with our own personal and collective evolution of enlightenment, development of enlightenment. And so I think there's no benefit of doing that. So does that mean that we should not do? Absolutely not. I think we should do our best to bring a greater social impact. I do always believe in the end of the day, our spiritual practices, any belief, any spiritual practices should have greater unconditional social benefit and impact. And then those spiritual practice, I think there are some greater purpose. And also, not only when you're talking about it, but also in fact, in actuality, able to practice that, able to benefit, able to change that when it comes to a personal situations, not when you're speaking about general impersonal issues of the society, which easy to speak about. But when it comes to your own personal situation in a similar situations, then you need to make those changes within your surrounding, and that's the only way. Then I think there is some sense of greater change. So let's talk about a little bit about how should we or how should we speak out? How should we find our true voice, a voice of freedom? How should we find our deeper clarity? How should we find a greater collective purpose? How should we find a purpose which is not it's individual, a purpose which is not divided with the political parties, a purpose which is not divided with one specific opinions and ideas, but there is a clearly a greater collective purpose is there. So I think how should we find? So I think that is a very important question. So I think I'm going to try to do a short meditation here that all of you, we can, including myself, everybody, all of us, we can try to do a short meditation in a particular situations in your own life, that it's the truth that you're trying to find in a situation in your life, the truth voice, I say the voice of freedom, the voice of truth that you're trying to find in the family, that you're trying to change the dynamic of the relationship of the family, or if you are trying to find the voice of freedom and the voice of truth when trying to change some dynamic situations in the community, or in a larger sense in the political situations, whatever it is, let's look a little bit more deeper inside ourselves. Just bring your attention inward. Just be aware of the stillness in your body. And particularly aware of the silence of the speech. Be aware of openness in your heart, in your mind. Just for a moment, contemplate, reflect in you're trying to find your inner voice. You're trying to find some sense of truth, some sense of social justice. Some clarity in personal life. Some voices of clarity to communicate with someone, a family, a community, social justice. Recognize your own ignorance and doubt, if there is, that you feel. Recognize your anger, frustration, if you feel in the situation. Recognize maybe there's some sense of greediness, attachment. Basically recognizing these three root poisons, and particularly in the situation where you're trying to raise your voice, find your voice of freedom, trying to bring some positive impact in your life, family, community, and the society in large. So recognize that you say anything from this place of ignorance and doubt, anger and hatred, greediness and attachment. The impacts that you seek will not be there. And many times you see people speaking from these three root poisons in today's world. Big leaders, angry people, people who are stuck with a very divided ideologies. There's no sense of accommodating or trying to understand the other opinions. There's no sense of peace. And you see very often the impact, it's not what we hope for. It's not a positive change in the society. Very often it's getting worse, either in a bigger scale or individual life. When something is coming out of these three root poisons, there is no positive impact. Now look at, by recognizing these root poisons and letting them go, feel a greater sense of space, deeper sense of silence, wider sense of awareness in which you can accommodate these feelings, host them, be gentle to them, hugging with peace, hugging with warmth, hugging with care. And breathe deep and allow this experience to self-liberate, dissolve by themselves like a dropping of snow in the ocean. They melt by themselves. Be that ocean. Be that unbounded, crystal clear sky. Allow the clouds and let them disappear and see clear sky and the luminous light. Be that mirror. Allow the images, accommodate them, let them go. As these three root poisons, doubts, dissolves, more sense of clarity and confidence arises. The anger and hatred dissolves, more sense of warmth and care arises. The greediness and attachment dissolves, more sense of generosity, giving, accommodating, sense of allowing arises. Now feel this sense of deeper connection to yourself, what we refer that as a ground in Tibetan. We say Yi, your ground, your source. In that ground, there is a more sense of a confidence. There is more clarity. In those clarity, confidence, and warmth, find your voice. The voice with confidence. The voice of freedom. The voice of clarity. The voice with flexibility. The voice and also this connection to other side. The others' pain, others' challenge, others' effort, others' good intention. Connect with the other side. From this place of space, awareness, and warmth, you can connect with other side, other opinion, appearances, because you are also connected with yourself, connected to your source. You're feeling your inner space. You're feeling your inner silence, a voice of freedom. Just for a moment, contemplate and see the differences between being connected to yourself, being connected to that silence, voice of freedom, being connected to other side, the other people, others' feeling, others' positive intentions. Now, see what voice you're finding now. You feel more free. You feel wider view. You feel more inclusive. You feel greater purpose, a collective purpose, not individual and party, but greater, a collective purpose as a society. The voice that you are going to find, it's coming from deeper place, with more clarity, confidence, more warmth. The impact this voice is going to bring, the greater impact, greater positive impact in all level, either it's a personal, collective, or in large sense of society. So now you can open your eye, and my question to all you all, it's very, very simple. So basically it's a twofold. One, that those you are in that particular situations in which you are trying to find your voice to change the situation and bring the positive impact in the situation, or speaking on behalf of social justice. Can you recognize how often our voices are coming from disconnected to our source, to ourself, and disconnected to the collective purpose, and disconnected to other side of the people? Do you recognize that? Do you recognize how often these voices are coming from doubt, fear, frustration, anger? How often we don't even recognize that these are coming from these doubts, frustration, anger, hate, greediness, self-greediness. How often we don't recognize it's not bringing any benefit. Can we find a solution? Not always be completely opinionated, outspoken, judging every situation outside without having clarity. Can we find some sense of recognizing these? Can we remain a little bit longer silence? Little bit deeper acknowledgement of our own pain and others' pain. Finding connection to deeper source of ourself, and also connecting with the other side of the people, their challenge, their pain, their positive intentions. Out of these reflections and awareness, can we find some deeper peace, deeper clarity, a more clear voice of freedom. So when we find these deeper connection to ourselves, deeper connection to the other people, then there is a greater chance to find more clarity in your voice. So maybe all of you wanted to share any feedback. I'm very happy to hear all of you. I see, sorry for this morning, there was a little interruption on internet, but it seems like now all of you are hearing me, and so hopefully I know my right spot where these connections are there. So the connections are there, and then that's only way. This is a very good example, right? I'm moving around, I'm trying to find a right spot where I feel where the internet is connected. And in that connection, I'm able to communicate with all of you. When I lose, the connection is not there, there is no communication. So this is a good metaphor here too. So I hope all of you are, this morning's talk was helpful, and this meditation was helpful, and any particular situations that you are in, that you're trying to find your voice, trying to change some situations in your life, trying to speak out. But before we speak out, I hope that you understand the reflecting deeper, finding deeper connection, deeper connection to silence. This is what we are saying as a title of it is connect first with awareness of the silence. Connect first with awareness of the silence, going deep and connecting to that place of awareness of the silence. From that silence, you will find your voice of freedom, and whatever voice of freedom you will find, those voices will have much more greater impact than previous ones, which is coming from loss, doubt, anger, hatred, and so on. So it's not going to find. So that means sometimes it's just better to remain silent. You know, even when when people are having some trouble and police stops you or some kind of violation or something like that, and people, legally people will say you have the right to remain silent. That is the guided meditation of the silence by the police. You have the right to remain silent. Means you have the right to meditate your one of the three precious pills. Why you wanted to do that? Only if you know, if you don't know, if you're disconnected, if you don't know what you're saying, if you will say anything out of fear, anger, that will be used against you. Legally, it will use against you. So you have the right to remain silent. If you say anything out of your three root poisons, legally it will use against you, or karmically it will be used against you. So, well, most of the time in our life, good thing we don't face those situations very often, but karmically we face those situations all the time. So it's very, very important to how you say that, being aware of that, not actually getting into that situations. So that's all for now. Thank you so much, everybody. And so tomorrow around this time, I will be coming on. Hopefully the connection will be good there. So at the same time, and also let other people know, those who are not hearing this notice from the Facebook. Okay, thank you.